Tune in next week at 8 for 240 Robert and the Love Boat on Channel 4, WTAE-TV, Pittsburgh.
Prior to the current Eastern 8 season, neither Pittsburgh nor Duquesne figured to be near the top of the league. Both teams proved the experts wrong by reaching the Eastern 8 finals for the first time against each other. The city of champions, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, will have still another champion at the conclusion of the night's festivities as we get ready for Pitt against Duquesne. The following is an exclusive presentation of Television Sports USA, the Ms. Lou Television Network. From the Pittsburgh Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Eastern 8 Championship Final. Featuring the Panthers of Pittsburgh against the Dukes of Duquesne. Tonight's game is brought to you by the men and women of United States Steel. By Fiat, makers of motor cars in the great European tradition. By Gulf Oil, who suggests you try Gulf Super Unleaded, the gas with guts. It helps eliminate engine knock and pain. And by Kronenbourg, Europe's #1 bottle of beer. Last night of the semifinals, 16,241 came to see the semifinals of the Eastern 8 tournament, and they were treated to some standout basketball. Good evening, everybody. I'm Howard David, along with John Steigerwald. The stakes are high tonight, John. There is no question about it. The winner of tonight's game, automatic bid to the NCAA tournament.
The stakes are always high when these two teams play. It's bragging rights, recruiting, everything. When it's Pitt and Duquesne, these two schools are 10 minutes away from each other. But this is the first time they've ever had this at stake, going to the NCAAs. And adding that ingredient with a full house and the Eastern 8 is just unbelievable. It should be a great game. Not necessarily artistically, but it's always a good game to watch.
As always, defense plays a big part in college basketball. Pittsburgh played maybe a perfect second half defensively last night against Rhode Island.
That's 32 turnovers, grab you. That's how many Rhode Island had. And Pitt will steal the ball. They play a 1-3-1 defense. They swarm all over the ball. And if they can do that against Duquesne tonight, they're going to be in big trouble. I think it'll come down to how well the guards on both teams play.
It should be a barn burner. Pitt and Duquesne for the Eastern 8 Championship. We'll have the starting lineups right after these messages. The Panthers of Pitt, sporting a 17-11 overall record, 10-5 in the league, and head coach Dr. Roy Chipman. First of all, here are the starting lineups for tonight, the visiting Pitt Panthers. Lenny McMillan. Number 4, the senior, 6'5", 175-pounder, and the star of last night's Pitt win over Rhode Island. Slam Bam Sam Clancy, wearing number 15, the senior, 6'7", 235 pounds. The starting center, a sophomore, 6'9", 215 pounds, Paul Brozovic. The starting guards, and defensively maybe the star of the game last night for Pitt, Carlton Neverson, the senior, 6'5", 190 pounds. And the other starting guard will be number 30, the junior, 6'3", 180 pounds, Dwayne Wallace. And the starting lineup now for the Dukes of Duquesne with a record of 20-8, 12-3 in the league. They are 14-1 in this building. The league's leading rebounder, Bruce Atkins, 6'7", number 44, 230-pounder. Number 12, Rod Scott, the junior, 6'4", 180 pounds. And key for tonight's game, number 41, the starting center, John Moore, 6'7", 220 pounds. The starting guards, Ronnie Dixon, number 20, the senior, 6'4", 165. And number 5, Andy Cicini, a freshman, 6'2", 170 pounds, rounding out the starting 5 from Mike Rice's Duquesne Dukes. We'll be back with the opening tap-off in just a moment. Head coach Mike Rice of the Dukes of Duquesne Eastern Aid Coach of the Year last year, the co-Eastern Aid Coach of the Year this year, along with Claude English of the University of Rhode Island. He has done a fine job.
Yeah, you'll notice he'll be a little bit more animated than the guy on the other side, Roy Chipman. Mike Rice will be spending most of his time up around midcourt, running up and down the sidelines. Chipman will stay seated most of the time, but they're both good coaches, and I don't think anybody would argue if Roy Chipman would have been co-coach of the year. He did a good job.
Roy Chipman's wife's next-door neighbor, or the Chipman's next-door neighbor, before the season started, was reading the Playboy poll of the top 20 teams in the nation, and Pitt was picked in the top 20 by some genius, I guess, somewhere along the line. And the neighbor came over to Mrs. Chipman and said, I see your husband was, or Mrs. Chipman said, my husband was in the Playboy. And she said, oh, really? I'd like to meet him. Here are the officials for tonight's game. 3 officials, Spiratori, Chappell, and Reif, will be the 3 officials because they play with 3 officials in the NCAA tournament. Pittsburgh victors over Rutgers and Rhode Island in the league championship playoffs. Duquesne winners over GW and West Virginia. Most recently over West Virginia last night, and it's Duquesne with possession of the basketball.
They knew which way to go, which is an upset to start with. Last night at the beginning of the Duquesne-West Virginia game, nobody knew which way to go after the opening tip. They had to direct traffic after that.
This is Dixon in the corner. Inside it goes to Scott, and Cicini with the rebound underneath, and Brozovic clears. Here come the Panthers. Clancy on the break.
That's Sam Clancy, and he's going to be the man to watch. He and Bruce Atkins have had some pretty good duels when these two teams have played each other.
We come the other way, and Moore has room. He gets his own rebound on Muscle. It doesn't go, but a foul is called.
Good follow-up by John Moore, but it wouldn't drop for him.
Brozovic draws the personal foul, and John Moore will go to the free throw line with a 2-shot foul. Moore on the season, a 71% free throw shooter, averaging 13.8 points per ball game.
It won't be long before you'll see the freshman Steve Beatty in there replacing Paul Brozovic probably. Roy Chipman thinks that Beatty does better if he's been on the bench for a few minutes to watch. Last night Brozovic played the first 5 minutes and then left, and Beatty played the rest of the game.
I have to believe that this man, John Moore, would be one of the keys to victory tonight if Duquesne were to win. Second free throw is almost back tapped to Duquesne, but it is Pitt with the rebound. This is Dwayne Wallace, number 30. Rejected by Moore. Cicini has it intercepted by Lenny McMillan.
He did it all last night. Led the Eastern 8 in steals.
McMillan had 2 points at halftime last night against Rhode Island and had 14 in the second half.
He did the same thing against Rutgers. He had a great second half against Rutgers in the quarterfinals of the Eastern 8. He won that game.
You don't expect Brozovic to do that, and that time he cleared the way. 4-1 Pittsburgh, almost a 5-second violation, getting it inside. Here's Cicini across the timeline. Now Dixon. Defensive play by Lenny McMillan.
Good job of closing off the baseline. Ronnie Dixon will mostly go to his right. He's not a good left side player, although last night he took a lot of shots from the left side, but he doesn't dribble well to his left, and he mostly worked to his right.
Dixon on the trigger. This is Cicini. Has it poked away from behind by McMillan. Neverson on the lead to Lenny McMillan. It goes and a foul.
That was the difference last night. Lenny McMillan stealing the ball. We're going to take a look at it again. There's Andy Cicini. He throws it right to Carlton Neverson. Lead pass to McMillan. And Cicini commits the foul. Bucket is good.
McMillan was not too happy after the shove by Cicini. Unfortunately for Cicini, the basket went and a foul. 3-point opportunity for Lenny McMillan, a 69% free throw shooter. That's 16 last night, as I mentioned, versus Rhode Island. This is going to be a 2-shot foul. They have called it intentional foul. This could be a 4-point play. Well, 3 anyway.
Cicini's a hard-nosed player. He's only a freshman, but he's got a lot of poise for a freshman. Sometimes loses control a little bit, and that's one of his problems, but that's probably because he's a freshman.
A rare call, intentional foul, this early in the ball game. 6-1 Pitt, make it 7-1 Pitt. And the Panthers with all court pressure.
Last 7 times these two teams have played, the biggest winning margin has been 7 points.
Last night, Duquesne had a 12-0 lead over West Virginia. This time, they're on the short end of a 7-1 score in the early going. 18-10 remaining, first half. Dixon inside to Adkins, and defensively, the Panthers do it again. McMillan is tripped up from behind by Moore as the ball goes out of bounds, and they're saying that he wasn't fouled, that he tripped over Moore. It was his fault.
I think it was. I think it's a good call. Here you see McMillan. He tripped over Moore, but it was not intentional, obviously, and I think it's official's good call. Ruling it was not intentional, and it was McMillan's fault. Almost stolen again by McMillan.
Atkins going against Brozovic, has it slapped away, and Atkins travels with it. So the Duke's a little shaky in the early going, and Dr. Roy Chipman of Pittsburgh has to be happy with a 7-1 lead.
Having trouble getting it inside. That's what Duquesne's got to do. They got to get it to Atkins and Moore inside.
The winner of this game gets the automatic bid to the NCAAs. McMillan from long range. McMillan came to play. We've got a break in the action as Duquesne wants to talk it over. They trail by the score of 9-1 with 17.5 remaining first half. Thus far, the Pitt Panthers shooting 4 of 5, 80%. The Dukes are 0 for 4 thus far in the ball game. Turnovers 4 for the Dukes, 1 for Pitt.
Big crowd tonight. Was not sold out up at about 6:30. There were 1,500 tickets left or so. It doesn't look like it's full exactly, but can always expect 15,500 to 16,000 here. The building holds something around 16.
The tournament record for 2 nights is in jeopardy. Last night, 16,241 as Pitt creates another turnover. Sam Clancy, 3-on-1. McMillan.
That's 5 turnovers in less than 3 minutes for Duquesne.
A foul is going to be called against Pitt, I believe against Carlton Neverson, away from the play.
The last time these two teams played, back on the 15th of February, Duquesne was behind 16-9 at 12:24 for the first half, and they scored 17 unanswered points and led 41-25 at halftime.
Tom Cvitkovic is in the ball game at guard for Duquesne as Andy Cicini sits down.
I want to make sure the viewers here in Pittsburgh, the game is being televised locally, realize that we are televising all over the northeast portion of the United States, and some of the things we're telling the people in Pittsburgh they already know, but this is a big thing in Pittsburgh, but not so quite well known in other parts of the country.
Dixon makes the first field goal for Duquesne, and very quickly the Panthers down the floor. Neverson. Clancy on the tip, Brozovic on the rebound, and he's fouled.
Brozovic is playing with a lot of intensity in there. There's Clancy waiting for the ball. Neverson with it. Neverson hangs in the air for a while, puts it up off the rim. It looks like it's going to drop. It doesn't. Clancy tips it. Good fight for it by Brozovic. He draws the foul.
It'll be a non-shooting foul as the Panthers have it. Inside it goes to Clancy. Clancy with his second field goal, and the Panthers lead it 13-3.
If Clancy can keep hitting from baseline, it's going to make it awful tough for Duquesne.
Double dribble is going to be called against Cvitkovic as the official's right on top of it, and it's amazing how smart the Pittsburgh crowd is. They called the violation before the official did.
Let's look at it. Mike Rice doesn't like it. There's Cvitkovic waiting, and there it is. He doubled right there.
13-3, Pittsburgh leading Duquesne. Pitt has it. Brozovic taking it inside, has it stripped away by Dixon. Here's a 2-on-1 break. Scott loses it, and it's reacquired by Wallace on the lead pass to Clancy. Look out! Dixon committed the personal foul, and a smart foul, because Clancy was going down the line for 2.
That ball is about to be jammed if Dixon doesn't do that. That's the only thing he could do. There's Dwayne Wallace with a lead pass to Clancy. It's a perfect pass. Clancy ready to jam it, and he gets him right there on the arm. The only thing he could do.
Clancy is 73% free throw shooter, to the line for 2. Last night, Clancy stuffed one in the first game against Rhode Island and almost brought the arena down.
Just keep in mind that anything can happen in this game. Most of the time, you don't see a well-played game, as I said at the top, but you will see an exciting game. Don't worry about how big the lead gets, because it could change any time. This is a series that so many things have happened.
Pitt has missed the first 3 of their first 4 free throws. They still lead it, however, 13-3 with 15:50 remaining first half.
And Duquesne's averaging better than a turnover a minute. They've got 7 turnovers. We're not to 15 minutes yet.
Dixon and Scott. Brozovic had the rebound. It is recovered by Wallace. Wallace down the line. It goes, and a charge is going to be called on Dwayne Wallace. Basket, I believe, will count. It does.
The bucket is good. Gene Steratore, the official there.
The finals of the Eastern 8 on the Mizzlou Television Network. Howard David along with John Steigerwald. We are delighted to be here in tournament atmosphere. 15-3 Pitt. 15:24 remaining in the half. Inside to Moore, and Brozovic is going to be nailed with his second, reaching over the top, and that might mark the exit of Brozovic, as Beatty should be coming in soon.
That's basically what Brozovic is in there for. He's a physical player. I don't think Roy Chipman worries too much about his foul trouble. He's only going to be in there a few minutes most of the time. Figures let him bang him around a little bit and then let Beatty come in.
1-3-1 Pitt zone. Dixon. Clancy gets the rebound, barrels into Dixon, and they're going to call a traveling violation on Clancy. Good call.
Let's look at it. They call traveling on Clancy. There's the shot. Clancy has it. Now he tips it forward. Does he have control? Yeah, he took an extra step there. He had both hands on the ball when he took a step.
Otherwise, it would have been a charge because Dixon had established position. Pitt staying in the zone. Ball poked away by McMillan, and Duquesne will inbound from side court.
You can see why a team would get frustrated playing Pitt. Even when they don't steal it, they're always harassing whoever has the ball. They're bothering you when you're trying to shoot. They're always around the ball somewhere.
Svetkovic. And Scott in the corner. Every time a Duquesne player gets the ball as a double team, Neverson ahead of the pack from Svetkovic, slangs it away. Great defensive play by Tom Svetkovic.
Okay, let's take a look at it again. Here's the lead pass to Neverson. Good speed by Svetkovic coming down, and he knocks it away without fouling him.
But the Panthers have created still another turnover. They did it to Rhode Island last night, causing Rhode Island to commit 32 turnovers, as John Steigerwald pointed out at the top of the show. And that is too many turnovers for 2 games. Wallace has it go off his own foot, and speaking of turnovers, Pitt commits 1. 14.5 remaining first half of play. The Dukes have had problems offensively. It's 15-3 Pitt.
Duquesne just seems to be tentative, and they seem to be really rattled by Pitt's defense.
Inside it goes to Adkins. It goes and a foul.
That's what they have to do, get it inside to Adkins.
And Dwayne Wallace is going to be saddled with his second personal.
Foul charge to number 30 of Pitt, Dwayne Wallace. His second, team 5th.
Okay, there's Svetkovic. And it comes into Bruce Atkins on Paul Brozovic, and he gets around and banks it off for 2. And he doesn't get the 3.
Clancy gets the rebound. Actually, it was a team rebound. It's reacquired by Duquesne. Ahead of the pack is Scott for the pass from Dixon. And it's a 15-7 ball game. Pitt in front. You wonder if Duquesne had more taken out of them with their win over West Virginia last night than Pitt had taken out of them with their easy win over Rhode Island.
There was a lot of talk about the emotion of the game between Duquesne and West Virginia, which is also a huge rivalry. Pitt didn't have that with Rhode Island, and Mike Rice made that comment. He said you need a couple of days rest after playing West Virginia.
Running one-handed by Carlton Neverson was off the mark, and it's Duquesne on offense. Dixon, a pure shooter, has it poked away from him by Lenny McMillan, poked away still again, and it'll be Duquesne ball.
But Mike Rice also said that he felt that it would be better for his team to come off the West Virginia game and play Pitt, because playing such an emotional game with West Virginia, they might not be able to get up for Rhode Island, even though it is for the right to go to the NCAA and the Eastern 8 Championship.
Mike Rice, head basketball coach at Duquesne. 2 years in a row, he's either outright been or shared the Coach of the Year award of the Eastern 8. Baseline jumper by Scott. And Moore has the rebound. Back up with a shot. This time it's Wallace, the little guard, in the middle of traffic. Neverson. And a breakaway. Here's Dixon on the 2-on-1. Great defensive play by Dwayne Wallace. Back we go the other way. Super pass. And Brozovic too hard with it.
I don't think there was any extracurricular violence there or anything. It was just they got kind of tangled up. Atkins and Brozovic.
Atkins draws the personal.
Okay, here it is. That's Wallace with the ball. It's underneath the Brozovic. He goes up with it, and good job by Moore knocking it back out. And then he and Atkins get tied up.
8-point Panther lead. Clancy is tripped as he was going in on the give and go from Dwayne Wallace. And I think Scott is going to be hit with a personal. For Scott, that is his second personal, 5th team foul against Duquesne. Pitt also with 5 team fouls.
Number 12 at Duquesne, his second team fifth.
Clancy, very short, and Dixon again in the right position. This is Scott, hacked by McMillan. Interesting enough, that pass was not intended for Scott. I think it was intended for Spitkovic in the corner.
Scott intercepted it, and Lenny McMillan wanted a jump ball there. Didn't get it. Got called for the foul.
Dr. Roy Chipman, a very successful freshman year as head basketball coach at Pitt.
And this is Rod Scott.
And Scott will go to the free throw line for 2 shots. He's only a 60% shooter from the free throw line. .12:32 remaining in the first half. The Eastern 8 championship game at the Pitt Civic Arena.
See the concentration, Mr. Scott here. Not a great shooter. He's out there for his defense.
Clancy with the rebound. Pitt not wasting any time in bringing it up the floor. In talking with assistant coach Seth Greenberg of Pitt before the game, he said they would do this sort of thing, even on a made basket, bring the ball up the floor quickly.
Duquesne's in there, 2-3.
Duquesne showing a 1-3-1 defense. This is McMillan. Less than 12 minutes remaining in the first half. 15-7 Pitt. Clancy over Moore. And Atkins takes the rebound away from Brozovic. Joey Myers of Duquesne getting ready to check in.
Sam Clancy does not shoot real well off the pass, and you saw it there.
Number 24, Joey Myers.
There's an official timeout with 11:36 remaining. In the first half, Pittsburgh leads Duquesne by 8. From the floor, 44%. Duquesne 3 of 11, 27%. Dukes have turned it over 9 times to Pitt's 5 thus far.
Last night we had a game where West Virginia didn't score their first 2 points till we were 5 seconds away from being halfway through the first half. It was at 10:05 when they scored their first point, so Duquesne had somewhat the same problem tonight. But they have scored a little bit more.
I was wondering if last night was going to be the first shutout in history. Maybe not in history, but in modern history since the peach basket was removed. Spitkovic.
He's not a great shooter, but that was a nice shot with a nice touch. He's not known for his shooting either. Neither Savitkovic or Sassini are great shooters.
15-9 Pitt. Here's a turnover created by Duquesne's Dukes as they bring it up the floor. There are 4, possibly 5 teams in the Eastern 8 that have realistic postseason possibilities. Here comes a breakaway created by Clancy for McMillan.
You see Savitkovic, when you're playing Pitt, you have to be very careful with your passes because they're so quick. You can't telegraph your passes at all. I think he did it there. Tried twice to get it over there, and the second time, they took it away.
Pitt staying in that zone. It has been pretty effective.
1-3-1. That's what Roy Chipman used in Lafayette. He was a defensive specialist there.
Atkins, a little too hard off the carom. Atkins almost creating a turnover. That is Beatty who has checked into the game. Great court pass by Wallace to McMillan. And And now you know why Atkins led the Eastern 8 in rebounding.
He does not look like he's that intense. He doesn't change the expression on his face, but when he wants to play and wants to get going, he'll tear the ball away from anybody. He's a strong kid.
McMillan on the rebound of the missed Atkins shot. The lead to Clancy is great.
Back and forth now, 19-9. Pitt up by 10.
9:45 remaining first half. And this is the Eastern 8 championship game. Howard David and John Steigerwald from the Pittsburgh Civic Arena. Bad pass run by Svitkovich, and Pittsburgh will get it on the turnover as Barnett Harris gets ready to check in for Duquesne.
One thing that may have helped Roy Chipman taking over from Tim Gergerich, who was the coach last year. Roy Chipman was a defensive-minded coach at Lafayette, and he came here, and for the last several years, Pitt has been known for their defense. That's what they work on, and that made the transition a little bit easier because he had players who had been schooled in defense.
Harris has come in for Duquesne in place of Scott, who sits down for the first time. Baseline jumper by Wallace is way off the mark, and Harris there with the rebound.
Barnett Harris is in there for one reason. He's a shooter. Big kid, junior college transfer. Same with Myers, who just took that shot. Two good shooters.
Another good defensive play by Lenny McMillan. Both Harris and Dixon were there for the rebound, uncontested, and McMillan made the defensive play to prevent the easy basket. Svitkovich has it against the 1-3-1 Pitt defense. Harris from long range. Too short. Ball last touched by Dwayne Wallace. It'll be Duquesne ball. We have 9:04 remaining first half.
When you look at Mike Rice winning 20 games this year, he lost two guys, both for academic reasons. One was a 7-footer named Ricky Tunstall. Another, Doug Arnold, who's one of the best outside shooters in the league. Two big men who would have had a much bigger front line.
There's Clancy off the tip by McMillan. Clancy on the dish off. You never said he could not hold on to it. We have a break in the action with 8:53 remaining first half. Pittsburgh leading Duquesne by 10. Now this message from your local station. I mentioned earlier that 4, possibly 5 teams in the Eastern 8 had realistic chances at postseason tournaments. Obviously, the 2 teams that are here tonight, I would say most definitely West Virginia and Rhode Island, both with more than 20 victories, and even Rutgers has an outside shot at a postseason NIT bid, I would think. So there are 5 real good chances at postseason play for the Eastern 8, which in 5 years, I think, has made some tremendous inroads.
That guy there wants to go to the NCAAs, but it's good for the Eastern 8 that they have that many teams that are at least being considered as possible teams for postseason play. What they have to do now, the Eastern 8 must get somebody to get into a postseason tournament and do very well and make a national name for the league.
This is Atkins. Was looking to go underneath, was looking for Harris. Svitkovich just threw it away. That's the second time, but it was last touched by McMillan. So says Serator, the official. Now, I don't know if I would necessarily agree with the call, but he made the call.
Yeah, and Svitkovich's having some problems. He seems to be forcing his passes, and he's not playing very relaxed out there.
Svitkovich drawing the attention of Neverson and McMillan.
But it's not easy to relax against this defense. They're all over the place.
The howitzer by Joey Myers.
The last time these two teams played, I mentioned that Duquesne fell behind early. They brought in Myers and Harris, and those two guys just kept popping from outside, and that opened it up, and they scored 17 unanswered points. Let's see if they can do it again.
19-11, Pitt. There's going to be a whistle and a foul underneath. It's going to go against Pitt, I believe, in the person of Steve Beatty. Here's our all-Eastern 8 first team, and a couple of them are here tonight. You see Clancy and Atkins, Earl Belcher, the league's leading scorer, Greg Jones, who played so great last night, Kelvin Troy of Rutgers, Jimmy Wright of Rhode Island.
Earl Belcher there, the player of the year in the Eastern 8 from St. Bonaventure.
Sensational year by all 6. They had such good years, they had to go beyond 5. Here's the second team. Dixon, who you're seeing here tonight, along with John Moore and Carlton Neverson of Pitt, Happy Owens of Rhode Island, and Russell Todd of West Virginia made the second team for the Eastern 8. We're going to look at the all-rookie team a little bit later on. Atkins to the free throw line for a 1-and-1 opportunity.
And watch, speaking of expressions on people's faces, look at Bruce Atkins. He just remains calm. He'll have that same look on his face if it's 1 second left in the game and the free throw is for the game.
Second one is missed by Atkins, and Pitt on the rebound, 19-12. They lead it with 8 minutes remaining in the first half. Duquesne now in the zone. Wallace and Neverson at the guards for Pitt. Clancy, McMillan, and Beatty across the front. Duquesne with Svitkovich, Dixon, Harris, Myers, and Atkins. This is Wallace over the defense. Beatty with the following, missed it, and Duquesne has it. Good defense by Sam Clancy.
They're not giving Barnett Harris time to shoot. That's why he's in there.
Atkins over Beatty. And Beatty with a rebound. We got a 2-on-2 breakdown. Here is Wallace.
Fans wanted goaltending down here.
They're going to call traveling against Dwayne Wallace. So I think you're right. There might have been some goaltending down the other way.
Okay, let's take a look at it. There's Harris' pass to Atkins. He puts it up, and, boy, that's close. Clancy's right up in there, although maybe he didn't touch the ball.
Number 20.
Daryl Gizendanner is in the game for Pitt, wearing number 20, a junior guard.
There's Svitkovich getting it knocked back in his face again. He's having trouble completing his passes.
Dixon makes the basket, and a foul is called on Gizendanner. Svitkovich with the pass that triggered the basket as Ronnie Dixon makes the basket, and the Dukes now trail by 5. They can cut it to 4 with Ronnie Dixon to the free throw line. Dixon a 70% shooter.
That cuts it to 4, 19-15. It's just under 7 minutes now.
Pure body English made that one fall. Person of Ronnie Dixon, 19-50. 4-point Pitt lead with 6:50 remaining in the half. This game is starting to develop as advertised. Close. And a foul is going to be called on Ronnie Dixon reaching in. His second personal foul.
Howard, you know, a lot of people here in Pittsburgh, basketball fans, and everybody would like to see Pittsburgh get an NCAA tournament here, regional, whatever. And this is a good facility, I think. 16,000 people. Would be nice to see it come here, and they keep saying that this is proof that they would come out to see it. The fact that the tournament, the Eastern 8 tournament, is drawn so well.
Beatty gets the inbounds from Lenny McMillan. There's a turnover created for the moment by Duquesne, reacquired by Gizendanner. And last touch by Duquesne. It'll be Pitt ball. They get a break.
Daryl Gizendanner came in against Rutgers, did an excellent job. Was one of the reasons they came back. Gizendanner and Beatty are the ones who came off the bench to help Pitt win that game. Gizendanner is like Neverson and Wallace, very quick hands, but he's a little bit more erratic than those two. That might be due to inexperience.
Less than 6.5 remaining first half of the Eastern 8 finals between Pitt and Duquesne. Pitt in the lead by 4, 19-15. We envisioned a low-scoring game, due in part to the intensity that exists between the two. Neverson, his own rebound. Who's got it? McMillan in traffic. Lenny McMillan with 11 points. He leads everybody.
He's a good medium-range shooter, and he got open there. You mentioned not having a high-scoring game. The last 5 times they've played, nobody's reached 70 points.
This is Harris. Every time a Duquesne player touches the ball, 2 Panthers are all around him. Myers gets slapped on the head by Clancy, and that'll get your attention. Myers wanted to take the shot, and perhaps should have, and he reacquires it, but loses control as Clancy is there.
You have to think quick on your feet against this team, and you can't be indecisive the way he was right there, and that's what cost him the steal.
Gizendanner now acts as the point guard with Wallace on the bench against the Duquesne zone. 21-15 Pittsburgh with 5:10 remaining in the first half. Gizendanner with a move, and it's swept away from behind by Moore, and it's Moore who comes up with it. This is Svitkovich. Has it poked away by Gizendanner, and Daryl Gizendanner is going to be hit with a personal, his second.
That's a frustration foul there. He was feeling bad about having the ball get away from him down there, and then came up and tried to get it back, and not a very smart foul.
Bruce Atkins, there he is. Number 44 replaces Joey Myers for Duquesne. Daryl Gizendanner sits the bench for Dr. Roy Chipman's Panthers. As Dwayne Wallace checks back in the ball game, Andy Cicini is getting ready to check in by the scorer's table for Duquesne, and apparently he'll come in for Smitkovich. Moore with the rebound. It goes and a foul.
If John Moore starts to assert himself, you're going to see a change in the complexion of this game, too. He hasn't been hurt from too much so far.
I said at the top of the show that if Duquesne were to win, John Moore would have to be a major factor. Thus far in the ball game, Moore has 3 points. And Pitt has a 4-point lead in jeopardy of going to 3. Moore at the line. As Beatty gets the rebound. Free throw shooting on both sides has not been too artistic or successful, but it will straighten away in time. Cicini has checked into the game for Smitkovich for Duquesne. Clancy in traffic. He is fouled, I believe, by either Barnett Harris or Andy Cicini. It's Barnett Harris that draws the personal foul. That is his first. Both teams are now over the limit.
This may remind you of Franco Harris. Speaking of football, and there's Clancy trying to come through the line of scrimmage, and it gets away from him. He fumbles the ball. Speaking of football, Sam Clancy tried out for the Pitt team. He was at spring practice this past a year ago and lasted about a week and a half, and the coaches said he had some promise, but I think Roy Chipman got him to make a commitment to basketball.
Clancy has missed 3 straight free throws.
And there's still some talk about the possibility.
And a foul is going to be called against Pittsburgh. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, there's a possibility of an NBA, or rather an NFL team drafting Clancy, not to mention NBA.
Neverson draws the personal. That is his second. Here's the foul.
There's the trip as Dixon tries to come down the baseline, and the foul is called.
We'd like to wish Lance Bennett, the team manager of the University of Pitt, a speedy recovery as he's in Presbyterian Hospital on the Pitt campus. Dixon makes the free throw. And while we have the medics report, Nellie King, the sports information director at Duquesne, his daughter Amy broke her ankle.
Substitution there for Duquesne. It's Rod Scott replacing Barnett Harris. Well, I think she broke her foot. Either way, she's not feeling real good right now.
And it's really hurting her a lot because she's a high school basketball player and won't be in the finals. So we wish Amy a speedy recovery. Dixon now the second. And an official's time with 4:40 remaining first half. Pittsburgh leading Duquesne by 2. Someday, either going to suit up or be a cheerleader or whatever.
Got Duquesne colors on. Red and blue there.
Thus far, Pittsburgh is 10 of 25, 40% from the floor. Duquesne 7 of 21, 33%. Turnovers are now almost even. The Dukes with 12, Pitt with 10. Pitt seems to have lost the edge that they had in the early going. At one point, they led 15-3. The Dukes have now come back in the game. They trail by 2.
Well, I said earlier when it was 15-3, forget about how big the lead gets, because the way these games go, you just never know what's going to happen.
Wallace being guarded by Cicini.
Usually when they play, it's like several different games. You divide the game up into 5-6 minute segments, and one team will take over for one segment, another will take over for another.
There's going to be a foul called on John Moore of Duquesne as Dwayne Wallace challenged him along the baseline, and you know that John Moore doesn't agree with the call. That is his first.
Neither does Mike Rice. That's Roy Chipman over there. There's Mike Rice. He does not like that call.
Honestly, what coach have you ever seen in your entire life that ever agreed with a call that went against him?
Not too many of them.
Publicly, anyway.
Mike Rice was a tough kid when he was at Duquesne, and his teams reflect that kind of attitude. Very physical team.
Dwayne Wallace at the line for 2, a 74% free throw shooter.
Mike Rice played at Duquesne in the early 60s under Red Manning, who's now the athletic director at Duquesne. 6'2" center he was, weighed about 160 pounds. Played on some good teams, too, believe it or not.
If you have a 6'2" center, your rest of your team better be fast. Wallace already in the game with 3 points, now looking for his 4th. Wallace gives Pitt a little bit more breathing room, a 4-point lead with 4:06 remaining in the first half. Moore getting double teamed, and Pitt is making Duquesne work coming up the floor as they did last night against Rhode Island, thereby creating some 32 turnovers. Dixon, nobody on him, passed up the shot.
He was open.
Cross-court pass now. This is Moore, has a little bit of room. And again, he gets his own rebound. And they're going to call a goaltending against Sam Clancy. So score the basket for John Moore.
I'll tell you what, John Moore puts it up and does a good job of following. Look at him get up for that. Great follow. And watch this. Look at Clancy go up there. Right back in your face. But it's goaltending and 2 points.
23-21, Pitt. Clancy had to step on his man, Bruce Atkins, but he was fouled before he even got to the hoop. Atkins commits his foul. That is his second. Nobody at this point is in any real foul danger. Nobody has more than 2 for either squad. Pitt leading at 23-21. We have 3:26 remaining in the first half. And Clancy's had his problems with the free throw line. He's 0 for 3. And he's a better free throw shooter than that, 73% for the year. Appreciate Sam not making me look foolish.
That gets him up to 25%.
Right. Clancy with 7 points in the ball game. And the blood and guts of this Pitt squad, he has been the leader the second half of the year. 25-21, Pitt, 3:26 remaining in the half. Duquesne getting pressure on the inbound.
Gone the way you expect. Just look at the score, and it'll be somewhere around there when it's over. Probably 5-6 points at the most.
Dixon over McMillan. Dixon, his third field goal. He has 9 points in the ball game. 25-23 Pitt.
He took the shot that time. He was open and didn't wait. If you wait, Pitt's going to come after the ball. You're not going to get your shot. You better take it when you have it. You're not going to get too many chances outside. Or anyway.
Clancy has room. Atkins had the rebound. We're going to get a foul called against Atkins, pushing off underneath. I think a very good call.
Atkins really goes up for this ball and wanted it and really had it, but let it get away from him. And he's got good position, comes off the rim, he goes up with one hand, and then he pushes off with the other, and that's the foul.
And that is number 3 on Bruce Atkins, so he'll have to sit down for the last 2:52 of the first half anyway, as Joey Myers, number 24, checks in for the Dukes.
And that means you're going to see him take out their inside game a little bit and go outside with Myers. You lose Atkins, you lose your inside game.
Atkins made Eastern Basketball Magazine's all-freshman team 2 years ago, and speaking of Eastern Basketball Magazine, Ray Fiorani, one of the outstanding writers for that outstanding publication, will be one of our guests at halftime, along with the commissioner of the Eastern 8, Dr. Leland Bird. Neverson cans them both. He was 6 for 6 last night from the line. 27-23. Dixon breaks the pressure and runs in a Lenny McMillan, and that is McMillan's second.
One thing you got to remember about this series, these two schools are about a 10-minute bus ride from each other, or drive up the Parkway here in Pittsburgh. These kids have played against each other, some of them since junior high school, and here they are playing, some of them as seniors in college. They know each other very well, and they play against each other in the summer and summer leagues. It's an intense rivalry.
McMillan draws the foul. That is his second. And Ronnie Dixon, nicknamed Silk by his teammates, knows what it's like to be hungry. One of 7 children in his family.
McMillan with 2 personal fouls.
3-point Pittsburgh lead. Myers knocks the ball off of Beatty's hands, and Beatty last touched it. Dr. Chipman on the other side is saying, no, wait a minute now. His hand was forced by Myers.
Good play by Myers. Whether or not it was the right call, he made a smart move and got away with it.
Duquesne can cut it to 1. And Neverson fouls Moore over the top. Neverson now is in foul jeopardy. He has 3.
And that's a bad situation, because the type of player Neverson is, you see him right there, he's always reaching in, and he has a potential to be called for a lot of hacking calls, and you don't want to have him be in trouble and take that away from Pitt. Pitt will be in trouble if they have that taken away. And there's Gissendaner in the game.
Daryl Gissendaner checks in the game, number 20. Now Clyde Vaughn is also in the game for Pitt in place of Lenny McMillan. And Moore to the line for 2 shots can bring Duquesne within 1.
John Moore missed last season because of a broken ankle. Was it a knee, a bad knee that he had in a playground game over the summer? It's a question about whether he can come back, and he's done a good job.
Vaughn gets the rebound on a missed free throw, and it's a 2-point game. Pittsburgh on top, 2:38 remaining in the first half. Howard David, John Steigerwald in the Eastern 8 Championship Finals. Winner gets the automatic bid to the NCAAs. The runner-up team has every reason to expect some kind of postseason. And two other teams, maybe as many as three other teams, could go to postseason play. Myers on the turnover. This is Cicini. Dixon is fouled, I believe, by Darrell Gizendaner, and that is going to be 3 on Gizendaner, which puts Pitt in a not too happy position.
Pitt is in trouble, as I said earlier. If their guards get in foul trouble, they are going to be in serious trouble because that's their game. Their guards out front harassing everybody and reaching in, and if they have that taken away and they have to play a tentative type game, it's going to affect them defensively.
Dixon 1 and 1. He wishes them going in. You love the reaction of Dixon. You watch him use the body English as the ball is released from his fingertips. Svitkovich getting ready to check into Duquesne. Now watch him in the lower corner of the screen. That time he was a little bit quieter. Svitkovich comes in place of Dixon, and Ronnie Dixon is having a fine first half with 12 points as he sits down for the last 2:08.
Speaking of foul trouble, Sam Clancy is usually in foul trouble early, and he's not tonight. He's got a big 0. Where they may have some trouble with the guards, at least Clancy for Pitt is hanging in there pretty well.
Gives it down a good leap. And Cicini is taken to the canvas, and a foul is going to be called on Pitt. Pitt getting into some serious foul trouble right now.
He hit it hard. Steve Beatty, I believe, is called for it. Here he comes. That's Gizendaner with the shot. Comes off the rim. There's Beatty, and just comes down with him on the arm.
Reminds you of tag team wrestling. Two guys drop one guy, and they both say, "I didn't do it."
Roy Chipman is a little bit upset now.
Cicini to the line for the first time tonight. He an 80% free throw shooter. That time he was not successful. Who touched it last? Who's still loose, and they're going to call a foul against Andy Cicini reaching in, and that is his second. Fouls will play a big part, it looks like, in the second half.
Yeah, but Andy Cicini in the opening round of the Eastern 8, Duquesne beat George Washington in overtime by 6. Andy Cicini made 9 out of 10 from the line in that game and made 9 of them in a row late in the game, and he was the difference really in overtime.
Sam Clancy to the free throw line. Pitt ahead. Correction, Pitt and Duquesne are tied at 27. Clancy can put them ahead. Minute and 46 remaining in the first half of the Eastern 8 Championship Finals. Clancy having his troubles tonight from the free throw line. He's missed 4 of 6. Duquesne can take the lead, I believe, for the first time. Pitt still putting on all that pressure around the ball.
Still in their 1-3-1.
There's only one way to beat a zone, and that is move the ball, pass it around, and good shot selection from the outside. Minute and 15 remaining. Cross court to Scott, intended for Scott. A little too high, and Pitt gets it on the turnover.
Svitkovich has had some problems with his passing, and would have been a great play because he was open for the shot if he'd gotten the pass there. It's a tough play to make.
So Pitt now, with possession of the basketball, can retake the lead with a minute and 3 remaining in the half. Against the Duquesne zone. They have been zoned throughout the entire first half.
Clyde Vaughn in there, number 42 for Pitt. He's a pure shooter. That's all that he's in there for. Not handling the ball well or play very good defense.
45 seconds remaining now.
Duquesne in their 2-3 matchup.
Wallace had a notion. Now the shot, and Wallace puts Pitt back out in front. 6 points to Dwayne Wallace, 29-27 Pitt, with 30 seconds remaining before halftime. And we'll see if the Dukes hold on to it for one last shot. We got a foul called away from the ball, I believe, on John Moore, and that'll be his second. All of a sudden, Duquesne, a team that did not have many foul troubles, has a whole lot of people that are bordering in the foul trouble area.
And you know, we saw last night Sam Clancy got in trouble against Rhode Island early in the second half, and he was out of the game, and that's when Pitt pulled away. Duquesne has played pretty well without Atkins the last couple of minutes. Atkins been on the bench since about the 3-minute mark.
Modest 1-and-1 opportunity, makes the first to get the bonus. 74% free throw shooter. Averages 11.4 points per ball game. And one of the leaders in the Eastern 8 in assists. As a matter of fact, he's second in the league, averaging 4.5 assists per ball game.
He came on in the second half and played real well the second half of the season. Roy Chipman was real happy about that. He wasn't too happy with the way he was playing the first half.
Wallace with 8 points in the ball game. It's 31-27. Pitt with 24 seconds remaining till halftime. Dukes getting the pressure as Pitt drops off. With 15 seconds to go before halftime, Cicini. Svitkovich loses it momentarily, regained by Scott with 10 seconds. Myers has it with 8. Cicini to Svitkovich with 6. They get it to Myers with 4. Loose in the corner, Gizendaner at the buzzer as it crashes against the backboard, and Pitt goes to the locker room with a 4-point lead. Our halftime festivities coming up after these messages from your local station.
Team in the country, they're pretty proud of their athletic program here at Pitt.
Pitt shot 41% from the floor in the first half, Duquesne 38%, and Pitt is on top, 31-27 as we start the last 20 minutes of basketball. I shouldn't say that. I should say we'll start the next 20 minutes of basketball. This game is going to be close down the wire. We have to assume that that is going to happen.
We talked a lot about the turnovers last night.
Neverson, little low-line drive. The shot is no good. There's a loose ball foul called against Andy Cicini, and that is his third very quickly here in the second half.
We talked about the fact that last night Rhode Island turned the ball over 32 times against Pitt. Duquesne's not that far behind that pace with 14 turnovers, and the only thing is, though, this time Pitt has almost as many. They have 11, so they really haven't taken advantage of it as much.
Neverson and Wallace, the guards. Brozovic starts the second half at center for Pitt, along with Clancy and McMillan up front. Same 5 that started the game for the Panthers. Dr. Roy Chipman, the Dukes of Duquesne with Cicini, Dixon, Scott, Moore, and Atkins, the starting 5 for Duquesne in the first half. Start the second half. Neverson has room. Carlton Neverson, would you believe, hits his first field goal of the night. Neverson came into the game averaging 15 points per ball game, and thus far he only has 4.
If he gets hot, he's awfully tough. He's not known for his shooting, but he's had some games here late in the season where he's really gotten hot and really done the job for Pitt.
Neverson, a 49% shooter from the floor. Clancy gets the turnover off Atkins' fingertips. Neverson is a streak shooter. If he hits a couple very quickly, it could turn into 3 or 4. Neverson, McMillan from long range. Lenny McMillan now with 13 points.
And that's another one from outside, and that'll loosen things up inside. Watch for Clancy now if they keep doing that.
Pitt opens up an 8-point lead. The biggest lead they've had since early in the first half, and a foul is going to be called on either Neverson or McMillan.
It's like McMillan.
And it is Lenny McMillan. That is his third. So now McMillan, Neverson, and Gizendaner all have 3. Cicini and Atkins for Duquesne have 3. And there are a whole host of folks that have 2. Mike Rice, head basketball coach at Duquesne, has done an outstanding job. First as a player for the Dukes, now as a coach. Atkins, rejected by Brozovic, but a foul before it even got that far. Personal foul, I think, is going to go on Dwayne Wallace, and that would be his third.
There's Atkins on the baseline, and really the foul was before he went up. Wallace put his shoulder into him.
Moore is fouled by Neverson, and a stupid foul.
Not a smart foul.
That is going to be 4 on Carlton Neverson, and Dr. Chipman can ill afford to have Neverson sitting down. Now Gizendaner comes in the ball game. He already has 3 personals, and that is going to be a big problem for Dr. Chipman. The clock is still moving. That is why everybody is so excited. They ran off some time on the clock, and Mike Rice was looking up.
Boy, he wasn't only looking up, he was jumping up and pointing up, and was about to have a little problem there. By the way, last night, we didn't mention this, after the game last night, Mike Rice is getting ready to do a live TV interview, and he passed out. He just crumpled up, rolled over, and people at first thought it was something serious. He just blacked out. He said he hadn't eaten all day. We hope he had a good meal before the game tonight, because it's going to be even more tense than it was last night.
So maybe no more than maybe 5 or 6 seconds have run off on the clock. They don't know how many yet. And at this point, it is not a major factor, although when you're trailing by 8, everything helps.
You know, they've had a lot of problems with the scoreboard here at the Civic Arena. The last time that these two teams played, as a matter of fact, there was a problem with the scoreboard.
Well, they have now put back the time on the clock. We show 18:05 remaining in the second half, and Pitt leading at 35-27. Neverson, one of the stars of last night's Pitt win over Rhode Island by 29, is now going to have to sit down for a while, and it is ironic that it was about this point in the game last night that Sam Clancy threw his 4th foul and sat down for over 10 minutes. Dixon has ruled.
And at that time, Pitt increased their lead from, I think it was 7 to 12 points in the time that he was off.
Except Neverson was one of the heroes last night for the defense of Pitt. And now they're going to have to do without him for a long spell. This is Clancy, guarded by Moore. Brozovic.
Obviously, losing Neverson will have a different effect on Pitt's team than losing Clancy. Neverson is the guy that makes the defense work for Pitt.
This is Wallace, guarded by Cecchini. McMillan guarded by Scott. Moore is on Brozovic as they've gone man for man. Duquesne has. McMillan goes around Scott, loses control, finds Clancy with space. Last touch by John Moore as it goes out of bounds, or rather Atkins.
When Duquesne started to come back in the first half, I think one of the things that helped them was the fact that they were switching from a 2-3 to a man-to-man defense, and Pitt was confused. They didn't know which defense they were in and which defense they were going to be in. And they're back in a man now.
This is Wallace, the trigger man on offense for Pitt. Gizendenner goes around Dixon, has it rejected by Dixon, and Dixon commits the personal. And for Ronnie Dixon, that is 3.
Well, we got a lot of people getting near foul trouble and already some in. This is Gizendenner trying to drive the baseline. He did have a step on him, and that's the only way that Dixon could recover, was coming up over his back, and it cost him a foul in his 3rd. Gizendenner at the line.
Daryl Gizendenner, a 77% free throw shooter, will go to the line for 2. Pitt in front by 6, 35-29, exactly 17 minutes to play in the second half. Free throw accuracy for neither team has been anything to write home about. 9 for 14 was Pitt in the first half. Duquesne was 9 of 19 from the line in the first half. Games more often than not are won or lost on the free throw line. Gizendenner 1 for 2. All court pressure applied by the Panthers. They lead it by 7 with 16:55 to play. Dixon over to Wallace. It goes over the backboard. It'll be Pitt ball.
Pitt lost some games early in the year because of an inability to shoot, not only foul shots, but just shoot, period. They had a bad shooting spree.
Well, apparently what has happened is that the official has signified a personal foul on Brozovic. And Dr. Chipman can't be too happy about that call. At first there was signal that went over the backboard, and it was Pitt ball. Now they have said that it is Brozovic who draws the personal foul, and that is his 3rd.
Roy wasn't too thrilled about that.
Here's a steal by Lenny McMillan. He'll have an easy lay-in. And he blew it. McMillan blew the dunk.
Well, there's something about the jam. It's an exciting play, but there are times when you just lay it up and take the easy one. And he didn't do it that time, and he wanted to bring the crowd to their feet. He did, but he brought the Duquesne crowd to its feet because he missed it.
Now we'll see what kind of an effect it has. The Duquesne partisan here at the Civic Arena have come to life. McMillan went for another steal. This is Scott for Moore. Inside to Atkins over Wallace. 36-31 Pitt. Wallace drawing the double team now with 16:15 remaining in the second half. Gizendenner again gets a step on Dixon. Great hang time. It didn't go. Clancy with a rebound, and it goes. Sam Clancy with 10 points. 38-31 Pitt with 16 minutes remaining.
in Pitt's game with Rutgers in the quarterfinals. Very close game, and at one point, Kelvin Troy did the same thing.
They're going to call Sam Clancy, I believe, for the personal foul, and an excellent call by the official. That is only number 1 on Sam Clancy.
That's Clancy underneath, going up, over his back, and there's the foul.
We've got a break in the action with 15:48 remaining, second half, and the Pitt Panthers leading Duquesne by 7. Ron Steiner, the publicity director for the Eastern 8, told me before the game that they keep stats on noise levels at Eastern 8 games. And last night in the semifinals, wait a second, we'll wait for Gizendatter to take this home. Last night, the noise level in this arena was equal to a takeoff of a Boeing 707. That's how it registered on that scale. 40-31, Pitt by 9 with 15:25 remaining. Scott over Wallace. Adkins underneath. That's where Adkins excels. He only has 7 points, and that's another reason why Duquesne's on the short end of the 7-point game here. 40-33. Atkins averages almost 16 per ball game.
This is right about the time that Atkins asserted himself last night. Right about this point in the game. He started really fighting for the rebounds and working inside, and he just refused to be denied several times.
By the same token, the key to Sam Clancy's game is inside. Here's now Clancy from the outside. And Atkins gets the rebound. Quick outlet to Dixon. Got Gizendatter back. Inside to Atkins. Here's a steal. And Lenny McMillan is fouled, I believe, by John Moore. That will be 3 if it is on John Moore.
Happens a lot of times after a steal. You see the team steal the ball, and the team that has the ball going off them tries to get it back and reaches in.
John Moore is hit with a personal foul. Pitt has the basketball and a 7-point lead with 14.5 remaining. And a foul is going to be called on Rod Scott. That is his 3rd. This is an interesting statistic. Adkins, Scott, Moore, Dixon, and Cecchini, the starting 5 for Duquesne, all have 3 personal fouls.
Well, that means it's not going to be too long before somebody's got 4, obviously.
Pittsburgh's Dr. Roy Chipman wants to talk it over with 14.5 remaining in the second half. Pitt Panthers lead it by 7. Now this message from your local station. Pittsburgh Civic Arena here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. With Duquesne trailing Pitt by 7 points. At the bottom of your screen, you see the mascot of Pitt, the Panther.
What's he looking at there?
With an eye on the ladies. Duquesne has 19 turnovers in the ball game. That's too many to the satisfaction of Mike Rice, the head basketball coach at Duquesne. And his assistant coaches, Bruce Bauer and Don Mazur. Carlton Neverson is on the bench with 4 personal fouls. He has been there for almost 4 minutes.
And it really hasn't cost Pitt as far as the score anyway.
Brozovic to Clancy. He walked with it. No foul. They're going to call it travel. Good call.
He ran with it.
Sam went through that line like Franco Harris through the Steeler offensive line.
As I said, there's some people think this guy can play football. They didn't say anything about fullback, but it looks like he could have.
What hit me?
Scott was out there by the concession stand after that one.
So Duquesne has it. They can cut it to 5. With 14:10 remaining in the second half. Spitkovich is back in place of Cecchini. Moore has room for the free throw line. John Moore with 8 points in the ball game. 40-35 Pitt. With 13:50 remaining.
Going to go right down to the wire the way it always does when these two teams play.
15,000 plus paid to see. This is Clancy. Brozovic has room. Would you believe Gizendatter almost tapped it in the midst of all of that timber? Duquesne could cut the lead to 3 points with a field goal here. Pitt now in his own. Dixon had a notion and Spitkovich with the pass and a great one away from Moore, but he couldn't knock it home.
Good job by Brozovic underneath, pressuring, I think it was Atkins.
Big time down the floor for Pitt. They lead it by 5 with 12:50 remaining.
Brozovic has gotten a lot more playing time tonight than he did last night against West Virginia. Beatty did most of the work last night.
Started by Spitkovich, now McMillan. Inside intended for Clancy, and a good defensive play by Bruce Atkins. Duquesne creates the turnover, and they can cut it again to 3.
Atkins led that one all the way on the defensive back, hoping the guy would fall through.
Pitt staying in that zone. Baseline by Scott. Air ball is taken down by Clancy. Here's Gisendana. Racehorse type of basketball player is Gisendana. Chipman was off the bench yelling something at his players.
I don't think we're going to make 70 again tonight. They haven't the last 5 times they've played.
Good defensive play by Moore. Good anticipation on the 2-on-1 break. Dixon to Moore to Dixon. Back to Moore.
What a play.
Might have been one or two passes too many, but the end result is they got the basket.
There it is again. There's Moore. Dixon. Moore. Dixon. Moore. 2.
A 3-point game. Pitt on top with 11:25 remaining. Clancy using his pulp. And it's Duquesne with a basketball. Clancy has to be more of a factor if Pitt is going to maintain their lead. Less than 11 minutes remaining in the championship finals of the Eastern 8. Here's Clancy now a factor, and he is fouled after the pass.
Excellent defensive play by Clancy, and he not only got the ball back, but drew the foul.
Dixon gets hit for the personal foul. That is 4 on Ronnie Dixon.
Okay, now watch Clancy. Was in there with one hand, really quick hands there by Clancy. Then he sticks his back out, and Dixon comes right over the top of it.
I'd say it was like water off a duck's back when you're talking about Clancy. Talking about a big man.
Before that last exchange there, down at the other end of the floor, you saw Clancy knock somebody about 40 feet and then missed the shot. Andy Cecchini back in the game.
He comes in place of Dixon, who sits down with 4. So in one of the rare times, you see Cecchini and Spitkovich in there at the same time. Joey Myers is also in the game for Duquesne. So is Ed Sherman for Pitt at center in place of Brozovic. As you mentioned, John, Brozovic played a whole lot of time here in the second half. Maybe he was getting tired.
Eddie Sherman did a good job last night.
Clancy's shot is rebounded by Moore. So we come to the halfway point of the second half. 10 minutes and 18 seconds remaining.
Eddie Sherman came off the bench last night, did an excellent job of boxing out Jimmy Wright right when Pitt started to pull away from Rhode Island. Ended up blowing him out by 29.
Cecchini, nice drive. Couldn't get the roll, and Wallace gets the rebound.
10-minute mark.
Keep in mind that starting guard for Pitt, Carlton Neverson, is on the bench with 4 fouls. Likewise, Ronnie Dixon of Duquesne. McMillan with a great drive. Lenny McMillan, for the second time and as many nights, has proven to be a big factor for the Pitt Panthers.
It's the first bucket in a long time, and McMillan with a beautiful drive along the baseline. That's their first bucket in about 4 minutes.
42-37 Pitt with 9.5 remaining in regulation. This is Joey Myers. Cecchini. The pass to Atkins. Doesn't get the roll, and Clancy, I think, is going to be hit with a personal foul. While we have the opportunity, we remind you of our tremendous feeling of appreciation for all of the help that the Eastern 8 has given us at the Mislew Television Network, and we are delighted with the association. Look forward to bigger and better things in the future, next year and beyond. Our thanks to Ron Steiner and Dr. Leland Bird for all of their help throughout the year, and for our stay in Pittsburgh the last couple of days. Atkins cannot get the first one to drop.
We got 3 on Clancy now.
2 on Clancy. Still in the safe zone. Atkins 1 for 2. 8 points for Bruce Atkins. Officials time with 9:15 remaining in the second half. The Pitt Panthers lead the Dukes of Duquesne by 5. Pitt thus far 42% from the floor. The Dukes of Duquesne 41%. But Duquesne has 19 turnovers. Pitt has 11.
Pitt has not had a turnover in the second half. I think they had 11 at the end of the first.
They did. So thus far, with still 9:15 remaining, it's as advertised. It's close. A 4-point ball game. And the Panthers have it. Clancy over Atkins. And a foul inside. Away from the shooter. And I think it's going to go against Duquesne. John Moore, I think, has been hit with a personal foul. That would be 4 on John Moore.
Not what you would call a high percentage shot by Clancy.
But Dr. Chipman has to feel slightly better than his counterpart, Mike Rice.
Well, you always feel better when you have the lead.
Well, you've got the lead, and you got now Rice has 2 of his key players, Moore and Dixon, in serious foul trouble.
Mike Rice is spending a lot of time lately up near midcourt, which is where he is right now.
This is Ed Sherman. Wallace from downtown. Dwayne Wallace with 10 points in the ball game at a key long-range bomb. 44-38. Pitt. Super move by John Moore. Atkins lays it in. Excellent fake by John Moore, and Bruce Atkins with a field goal. That cuts the lead to 4 again, 44-40 with 8:20 remaining in the second half. Cassini hounding Wallace. Clancy guarded by Atkins as the Duquesne Dukes in a man for man. Wallace over Moore. And Dwayne Wallace has the range. Wallace came into the ball game a 45% shooter from the floor. Doing slightly better than that tonight.
Pitt has survived not having Carlton Everson fairly well. He's been out for about 10 minutes already.
The alley-oop pass by Cassini was poor. That has been one of the problems Duquesne has faced all night, I think, as Barnett Harris checks into the game for Duquesne in place of John Moore, who goes out with 4 fouls. Duquesne's guards have not passed very well.
Nope, right from the beginning. Savitkovic had some problems early, and now Cassini. And Pitt's got a chance to go up by 8.
McMillan, guarded by Harris, who's just come into the ball game. 7.5 remaining. We get a whistle and a foul as Wallace made his move. And I think Cassini is the man that's been hit with a personal foul for Andy. That is 4.
Reaching in
on him. Mike Rice has to be feeling really bad as Ronnie Dixon comes back into the game. He already the owner of 4 fouls. Cassini goes out now. You're going to hear a lot about Cassini. I think he's only a freshman. 6'2", 170 pounds. He only averaged about 4 points per ball game this year, but I like his court presence.
He's got very good presence and poise for a freshman, surprisingly enough. And Mike Rice mentioned, I forget which game it was, but it was a very tough game here recently near the end of the season. Wallace makes one. He said that Cassini was like 5 seconds left in the game, and his foul shots were very important. I think it was the George Washington game. He said, "Okay, coach, what do you want me to do after I make these 2 foul shots?"
You know what it is when you get to this point in the season, your freshman year is over. I mean, you're a veteran by now. You've been through the wars.
Right.
14 points for Dwayne Wallace, who came into the ball game averaging 11. 48-40 Pitt with 7.5 remaining in regulation time.
Howard, you got a story here about the coach, no matter which team wins here tonight, because you have Mike Rice, who started the season with 2 experienced players really on his team that he could count on, and Roy Chipman coming in, taking over a program, and one of them's going to win the Eastern 8. So both coaches have done excellent jobs, and you got a story no matter who wins tonight.
Number 44 of Pitt, Ed Sherman, his first.
Ed Sherman gets the personal foul. That is only his first, but both teams are over the limit, so will be 1 plus a bonus 1 for the rest of the ball game. 7 minutes, 11 seconds remaining as Rod Scott comes back into the game for Pitt in place of Barnett Harris.
Plus, nobody picked Duquesne any higher than 6th, except maybe Mike Rice.
The Hoopster Rooster, the mascot of the Eastern 8. Only conference in America with the league mascot. Ryan Bartholomew is the young man inside the costume, and he's very animated, does an excellent job.
Pitt could go up by 10 here.
Wallace now with the basketball as the Panthers lead it by 8. That speaks for itself.
8 in a row for Wallace.
Wallace is on fire. A 10-point Pitt lead. Joey Myers on the break. And a foul is going to be called on either McMillan or Clancy. And I think it's against Clancy, and that is only 3 on Sam Clancy. Myers had the complete idea in his mind that he was going to the hoop regardless.
There he goes. He's on his way. Down the baseline. Over the top comes McMillan. In comes Clancy. Clancy gets called for the foul.
You know, I'll tell you one thing. Joey Myers is no lightweight at 6'8", 2 1/4", so he and Clancy go head-to-head, and somebody gets hurt, and it's probably anybody who's in the area outside of those two.
Myers is only a sophomore, so he's going to be a good player before he's through. So Myers, Cassini, Scott will be back next year.
Good nucleus. 50-42 Pitt with 6:42 remaining. The winner of this ball game, the Eastern 8 Championship Finals, gets the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Wallace, the man thus far, and McMillan there for the follow. It doesn't go. McMillan again. Clancy on the tip. And Scott with a rebound. Look at Clancy. Back the other way playing defense. Look at this pass by Wallace. Oh, brother.
And let's watch it. Good defense by Clancy. Gets it out to Wallace. Great pass right there to McMillan. He lays it in.
And Mike Rice has called a halt to the proceedings momentarily. 6 minutes remaining in regulation time. Pittsburgh ahead of Duquesne by 10. Now these words from your local station. Quite a game that has developed under the boards. Look at this sequence.
Watch these offensive rebounds. There's McMillan with one. He puts it up. It's blocked there by Myers, stopped, and then Clancy tipped. And finally, it's brought down by Duquesne. Rod Scott came down with it.
Pitt shooting 40% from the floor. Likewise, Duquesne. Duquesne has turned it over 22 times. Pittsburgh 14 thus far. We still have 6 minutes remaining in regulation time.
Pitt's official, unofficial cheerleader, Tiger Paul, has been doing a job so far. So is Mossy Murphy, Duquesne's official cheerleader. And they've gotten the crowds going a lot tonight. Hopefully we can get a shot at him sometime, a shot of him sometime tonight.
Not a shot at him, please.
No.
McMillan on the breakaway. That might have been the basket of the ball game emotionally for Pittsburgh.
He didn't miss that one. He missed one about 16 minutes to go in the game.
And Scott answers back with one of his own. Duquesne now putting on some pressure. 54-44 Pittsburgh with 5:20 remaining in regulation time. Keep in mind, Neverson is still on the bench. And Clancy brings down the building.
Watch this. Sam Clancy, don't get in this guy's way. Got some position on Atkins, and good night.
Slam, bam, Sam Clancy electrifies the crowd. Dixon to Atkins, super pass and a foul on Lenny McMillan. That is 4 on McMillan. And John Moore comes back into the game to give Duquesne the board strength they have missed since he departed.
That basket, that jam by Clancy, is the first 2 points for Pitt by anybody other than McMillan or Wallace. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 points were scored by either McMillan or Wallace.
Mike Rice wants to tuck it over again for Duquesne. We have 4:56 remaining in regulation time. Pittsburgh leading Duquesne by 12 points. As we resume with 4:56 remaining in regulation, Bruce Atkins will go to the free throw line. Dr. Roy Chipman's Pitt Panthers on top of a 12-point ball game right now, and Carlton Everson is still on the bench. He has been there since the 18-minute mark. Atkins will get the bonus. Bruce Atkins with 11 points in the ball game. He is 71% shooter from the line. Things are going so well for Pitt right now with Neverson on the bench. You wonder if it even makes any sense at all to bring him back into the game. Having all kinds of problems inbounding the ball, and they have just awarded it to Duquesne, I believe. On a 5-second violation, either that or the ball hit McMillan last as it went over the end line.
It's hard to tell. Sherman had some trouble getting rid of it. Guess they're going to say 5-second violation. Roy Chipman is questioning the call with Gene Steratore over there.
Now what they're doing is arguing about the time left on the clock. It shows 4:55 up there. And Bruce Bauer, the assistant coach of Duquesne, said it was 4:56. No time should have expired because the ball was not inbounded.
That's right.
Now they put the second back up on the clock. Hey, every second, you know, games have been won on the last second.
Timekeeper obviously didn't know the 5-second call had been made.
4:56 remaining. At a 10-point Pitt lead, 56-46.
Pitt's game to win now with that big a lead with 4:50 left. All they have to do is not turn the ball over. It's a lot easier said than done.
Dixon, a good shooter. That one doesn't go. And Atkins comes out with a loose ball.
Eddie Sherman in there is 6'11". Atkins only 6'7", but Atkins beat him there with beef.
Dixon is fouled by Clancy, and that is 4 on Sam Clancy.
Clancy can't believe it. He doesn't like the call. Let's see it. There's the shot by Dixon. Watch Clancy going up. He bumps him, and then he says, "What's this? Me? You kidding?"
They're both going for the ball. But they both have the equal right to the basketball. I'm not sure about that foul.
Clancy came over the back. It's a close call.
So Roddick Dixon will go to the free throw line with a 1-and-1 opportunity. He makes the first and get the bonus. Dixon now with 15 points in the ball game to lead Duquesne in that category. Lenny McMillan leads everybody with 19 points. And you know Duquesne's going to pressure the inbounds pass. 56-48 Pittsburgh with 4.5 remaining. McMillan is fouled. Either Svetkovich or Moore.
See who they give it to, but that was a good job by McMillan. Just forced his way in there and drew the foul.
And it's Svetkovich that's hit with his first personal foul.
Pitt up by 8. 4:25 to go.
You're going to foul somebody. I'm not sure Lenny McMillan is the right guy to foul. He's only a 69% shooter, which isn't a truly outstanding percentage, but he has proven with his veteran status that he is tough in the tough situations. And Mike Rice doesn't look very, very happy at this point. His team is down 8. They're still in the ball game. There's still 4:25 remaining. McMillan with 20. Attendance tonight a little less than 14,000 for the finals. That's in the ballpark. Keep in mind, West Virginia and Rhode Island purchased a whole lot of tickets. They had to depart, so there were quite a few no-shows. Second shot is missed, and John Moore gets the rebound. 57-48 Pitt.
13,823 tonight's attendance.
This is Moore with 4 fouls. Svetkovich getting the double team. Moore also gets the double team. Moore in the lane, and he used brute strength just to get that one through.
He fought for that one.
7-point ball game with Pitt in front. The inbounds pass last touched by John Moore. And Carlton Neverson comes back into the game for the first time in 14 minutes. replaced by replacing Gizendanner. Steve Beatty comes into the game, a freshman center, as he replaces Ed Sherman.
Ed Sherman is a fifth-year senior. Came in with a lot of promise and had a lot of injury problems, but he's done a pretty good job here in the tournament.
Nice fake by Dixon. And we get down to white knuckle time. And I think Adkins might have hit his head. That is Adkins or Moore, one.
That's
it's
Moore.
John Moore, and he hit his head coming down.
Bob Miley, the trainer, taking a look at him. Let's look at it. There's John Moore in the center of the screen. Let's see how it happened. Trying to take the ball away from Wallace. Wallace bumps into him, and Moore falls backwards. His head didn't hit yet. Oh, a foot came down on his head. A foot came down on his head there. Looks like he's okay.
Two-game attendance, or two-day attendance for the Eastern 8 tournament, 30,064.
I believe last year the Eastern 8 was in the top 5 most well-attended tournaments in the country.
Tremendous turnout.
That's
for a league.
Only 4 or 5 years old, 76.
For a league that has a good shot, I think, of certainly 4 teams and maybe 5 in postseason play. 57-52 Pitt, 3:40 remaining. McMillan on the alley-oop to Clancy. Couldn't come down with it. Who touched it last? I think it's Beatty. And it'll go over to Duquesne. They can cut it to 3 with a basket here.
Off Beatty. Been saying it all night. Don't look at anybody's big lead, no matter how much time's left. Unless when the clock runs out, we'll tell you what the final score is. It was 56-44 at 5:10, and now it's 57-52 at 3:33. Pitt up by 5, and Duquesne has a chance to make it 3.
Duquesne did not win 20 ball games by accident this year. They try to jam it inside to Atkins. Bad pass by Moore.
Not a good pass.
And a costly turnover. They could have turned the lead down to 3. Pitt can now go up by 7, so it could be a 4-point turnaround. We come to the 3-minute mark.
Yep, and at this point, that's a big turnaround. Pitt can take their time now. Under 3 minutes.
Wallace, a good ball handler. Makes the basket and a foul. And I think that's going to be see you later for John Moore. I think the foul's on him. Mike Rice has called timeout immediately.
Wallace does a good job of getting through Scott, and Savitkovic drives through the lane. There's Moore. Wouldn't give the ground, and he blocks him out and gets called for a foul, and the hoop's good.
So a 59-52 Pitt lead with 2:49 remaining in regulation time. I think that young lady representing Duquesne would be a little unhappier.
I think Pitt's cheerleaders were observing, picking up techniques. Duquesne cheerleaders were out on the floor. 59-52, Pitt by 7, 2:49 to go. Told you earlier, biggest winning margin has been 7 points the last 6 times these teams have played. It's going to be the same thing tonight. There's your attendance, 13,823.
All right, when we resume, it'll be at Dwayne Wallace at the free throw line with a chance for a 3-point play.
Close to 30,000 people here for 2 nights. That ain't bad.
Pitt thus far 44% from the line, Duquesne 43%. Duquesne has turned it over 24 times to Pitt 16, and Dwayne Wallace to the line, a 74% free throw shooter. He already has scored 18 points in the ball game. He and McMillan have led the way down the stretch. McMillan has 20. Now Wallace with 19. 60-52 Pitt with 2:40 remaining.
Duquesne's going to have to score and score quickly now. Almost taken away by McMillan.
Nice pass. Atkins gets the layup. And Dixon gets the rebound over Clancy.
Great shot.
Here's a steal. Scott gave it off to Svitkovic. I'm not sure if the basket is going to count. It does. Svitkovic with the lay-in. We got a whole new ball game. 60-56 Pitt with 2:17 remaining. Neverson. It goes and a foul is called.
Big play. And let's Let's look at it. There's McMillan getting it into Neverson on the down, out, and down. There's Atkins trying to get position. Is he in the lane?
He didn't have position. Good call.
Right.
He slid over and was still moving as the contact was made. Excellent call by the official. And Neverson will go to the free throw line with a chance to give Pitt a 7-point lead.
He does.
63-56 Pitt with 2:10 remaining. And ladies and gentlemen, it is not over. Not even with a 7-point lead. Except Atkins just made a big mistake. Here's a steal by Atkins. A 3-on-2 break. Barnett Harris.
There it is. That's what he's in there for. He can hit him from anywhere.
Wallace gets away from the loose ball and the pressure. Here's Neverson trying to jam it inside of McMillan. And a foul is going to be called on Lenny McMillan. And that is going to be an early exit to the showers for Lenny McMillan. That's number 5. Lenny McMillan goes to the bench with 20 points and would have to be considered for being a member of the all-tournament team for what he has done tonight.
He did the job tonight, and he did it last night, that's for sure.
They're going to pick an all-tournament team as Duquesne is called for a timeout, but let's look at this first.
What's the short hop? It's like a shortstop. That's Neverson trying to get it into McMillan, and he threw it right at Atkins. It bounces away, and Scott, there's the reaching in.
We have 1:39 to play in regulation time. 63-58 Pitt. We'd like to thank Nellie King, the sports information director at Duquesne, and Dean Billick, the sports information director at Pittsburgh, for their assistance in tonight's telecast. Of course, to Ron Steiner, the sports publicity director for the Eastern 8, and Dr. Leland Bird, the commissioner of the league. It has been a wild one, and it is not over yet with still 1:39 to play.
Well, we may see Tiger Paul show up here when these cheerleaders are finished. He wore his lucky suit tonight. There's the Panther, but Tiger Paul's not working right now. Maybe it's in his contract. He doesn't work after the 2-minute mark. I don't know.
We had to find a job for our director's kid, see? So we found a job for him.
Well, 1:39 left, and it's still not over. 5-point difference.
Rod Scott to the free throw line. Scott to the line, a 60% shooter, and he'll get 1 and 1. Key free throws here for Duquesne if they're going to have any chance to win it. And if you're Pittsburgh, Scott's the man you want to foul.
Not a great free throw shooter.
He has made the front end, and he has cut the lead to 4. He can cut it to 3 with this one. It is still tough. Vaughn is in the game, and a foul is going to be called on Svitkovich. I don't think he was too happy with the call.
Neither was Mike Rice. That's Clyde Vaughn, and he's not the guy you want bringing the ball up the court if you're Pitt, because he's not a very good ball handler, and he's had some problems doing everything other than shooting in his freshman year at Pitt.
Well, like you mentioned, he is only a freshman, although he has seen an awful lot of action this year, and he'll be a valuable member of the Pitt squad in the future. They're going to lose some key people. Clancy, McMillan, Neverson, just to mention 3 very important people. Atkins on the rebound of the missed shot. And Atkins walked with it. 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining in a 3-point game.
Atkins is a little bit anxious.
3-point Pitt lead. 1 minute and 30 to play. Neverson to the backcourt. And Wallace. Very good against pressure, both of them. There's Clancy. The alley-oop to Vaughn. He's too hard with it. 3-on-2 break for Duquesne. They lose momentum just for a minute, but regain possession. Duquesne inside, too hard. Harris. And Vaughn is the rebound. Foul is finally called to call a halt to the action. With 1:01 remaining in regulation time.
I think they wanted that one underneath there, or what? There was a fight going on for that ball, and Duquesne really needed that one. They could have cut it to 1. Now there's a possibility of it going to 5. 1:01 left. There's your score. Pitt up by 3. Vaughn at the line.
I believe it was Scott that was hit with a foul, and that is his 4th.
This is the 3rd chance that Vaughn has had to put Pitt up by 5. Let's see if he can do it this time. He missed the first 2 times. He does it again. That's 3 chances in the last 30 seconds.
Harris with the rebound, and Duquesne can cut it to 1 with a basket here. 50 seconds remaining, and they lose possession of the basketball. Vaughn throws it away, recovered by Neverson, but I don't believe he saved it in time. Pitt had a chance to lock the door and throw away the key.
Started talking about it the minute we went on the air, that you're not going to see necessarily a well-played game artistically, but you're going to see some excitement. There's an example of it right there. 45 seconds left.
So we have 45 seconds remaining and a 63-60 Pitt lead. Don't forget, the winner of this ball game automatically goes to the NCAA tournament, which starts Thursday of next week. The loser of this game, it would depend on who won and who lost. Here are the people that made it happen tonight. The director, Bill Schwing, our producers, Victor Friano and Dudley Freeman, Roger Schwing, our replay director, Bill Thomas, our technical director, Ernie Fingers, that's an interesting name for an audio guy, Danny Mitchner, our cameraman, Dave Bremer, Jimmy Hoffman. Clancy tried to save everything.
With the hustle on this play, there's the pass from Vaughn away from Clancy. He tries to get it. He really goes after this ball. He moves well for a big man, gets it in on the floor, and then it's knocked back out of bounds. You won't see it there, but it went off Neverson, I believe.
Right.
Up there.
All right, we have 45 seconds remaining in the Eastern 8 Championship Final here on the Mislew Television Network. That's Sam Clancy, the star of the Pitt Panthers. Howard David along with John Steigerwald. It has been a delight to be here this weekend for a really electric atmosphere.
This may not have the national recognition as a rivalry like some rivalries in the ACC and other big basketball rivalries, but it's every bit as intense and exciting as any one.
They almost created a turnover, and there's the last. It was last touch by Duquesne. Last touch by Duquesne. Dixon then recovered it in the backcourt, and they're calling it a backcourt violation. It'll be Pitt ball, and the Panthers want to talk it over.
Mike Rice did not like that call and told Dutch Sample. He's being pushed back by his assistant, Bruce Bauer. And now we're down to 35 seconds, and we've been at 63-60 for a minute now, over a minute.
To the right of our broadcast area is Tiger Paul, the mascot, head cheerleader of the Pitt Panthers. I don't know if you can see him yet. Probably on the right of your screen. He's just a little out of the picture now, but he is a true fan of Pitt. Duquesne has committed 26 turnovers. You realize that Pitt has made the opposite. There's Tiger Paul, the head cheerleader of Pittsburgh. Do you realize that that Pitt has made the opposition commit 58 turnovers in the last 2 nights?
That's good for a couple of weeks worth of games. There's Tiger Paul again, and he's not doing his act right now, but when he does, he'll start the crowd working a little bit.
Usually he goes coast to coast, runs down one end, runs back the other. He's got to get about 6 yards to the mile. I mean, 6 yards to the rubber tread on his sneaks.
He's got a 3-piece suit and sneakers on. One of the most well-dressed men in Pittsburgh.
So Pitt will have it from side court with 35 seconds remaining. And a 3-point Pitt lead. Put the chips on the table. It is counting time. This is where it really counts. Gisendowner, it's triple teamed, and he's fouled.
Mike Rice was standing just to the left. You can't see him on your screen of the official. There he is. He was hoping for a jump ball. Mike Rice has spent about 80% of the time right up there, close to the midcourt. Roy Chipman's up off his chair, too.
I think Rod Scott has been saddled with the foul. That would be his 5th and final. And he would join Lenny McMillan of Pitt on the sidelines.
Only 4 seconds went off the clock on that, so Pitt has had several chances to go from a 3-point lead to a 5-point lead, and they haven't been able to capitalize on it. And if Duquesne should come back and win this game, that's going to be it right there.
So Gisendowner will go to the free throw line 1-1. Interesting, Pitt is going with technically 3 guards. Wallace, Gisendowner, and Neverson, although Neverson, they're obviously for obvious reasons, so they can all handle the ball against the pressure. A 1-on-1 opportunity for Darrell Gisendowner. Pitt has had a lot of chances to lock this up.
He didn't take his time. 27 seconds now.
Dixon at the baseline with the jumper. Atkins underneath has it knocked out of his hands by Clancy. Excellent defensive play as Clyde Vaughn comes back into the game to Darrell Gisendowner with 19 seconds remaining.
It's a big rebound by Atkins there.
Dixon will trigger the inbounds for Duquesne. They trail by 3, and they need a basket in a hurry. Bad pass by Spitkovich. He threw it way too low. It was last touched by Clancy's chest as it went out of bounds.
On the floor.
And it'll be Duquesne ball with 12 seconds remaining.
Now it's getting down to where Duquesne almost has to get a 3-point play. Pitt's going to get the ball, even if they do score here. Duquesne's got to get the ball in the hoop. They've had some chances, too, to cut the lead to 1, we should point out. Even though Pitt hasn't taken advantage of their opportunities to go up 5. It's been 63-60 since, I think, Wednesday.
Maybe Tuesday night late. They're jockeying for position. So Spitkovich, they're looking for the alley-oop possibility. Dixon. Spitkovich in the corner. Air ball, and Vaughn has it. And he is fouled immediately by Barnett Harris with 5 seconds remaining. Now Vaughn can really lock the door this time.
This is the 4th time he's had a chance to make it a 5-point lead. If he does it here, the game's over. If he doesn't, Duquesne's still got a slim chance. 5 seconds left. But the Pitt fans are up. They think they've got the Eastern 8 championship.
If they are to win, it would be the first time in the 5-year history of the league that Pitt has won the Eastern 8 crown.
It'll be the first time a Pittsburgh team has won. There's been a lot of talk about the tournament being here being an advantage to the Pittsburgh teams. No Pittsburgh team has ever won since the tournament has been here. Duquesne won the tournament the first year, but that was when it was played in Philadelphia. I just got a wink from Carlton Neverson. I guess that means he thinks they've got it.
I was teasing him before the game. I said, how many bricks are you going to throw up tonight? He just looked at me. He said, none, I hope. Dr. Roy Chipman has to be delighted with a 17-win season on the verge of an 18th win, and this is first season as the head coach at Pitt. His goal when he came here was to make Pittsburgh in basketball what they've already established in football, and that is to be among the nation's elite in the sport.
It was at this time last year that they named Chipman the coach, right during the tournament.
This time, Vaughn delivers the mail. This free throw, for all practicality, will ice it because it will give Pitt a 5-point lead, and Duquesne would need 3 trips down the floor to make it happen. And he didn't make it. As it is, they've got an almost impossible task. Here's a steal by Vaughn with 1. That's the way the tournament has been wrapped up. Clyde Vaughn with a stuff at the buzzer. 66-60. Pitt has beaten Duquesne. Well, this is Howard David saying so long from the Pittsburgh Civic Arena.
Magic Hour of Solid Gold, Saturday at 7 on Channel 11.